Hello Wolfpack. ICX Icon is another coin that is kind of on a bit of a knife's edge, and in relation to the Bitcoin bounce, in which we're in bounce territory on Bitcoin, right? This green box at around 40k to 43k. This green box here. Since we're in bounce territory, and some people would say that a dead cat bounce is, or some sort of bounce at least. I think personally a dead cat bounce would be on the way for Bitcoin. And so the natural conclusion people would make is that some altcoins are going to bounce as well. Obviously, a lot of altcoins have dropped below their critical structures, and that's one of the reasons why I think we're actually in a bear market, or at least a bearish phase in the market, depending on your definition of a bear market, right? But we're looking for coins right now, and we've been doing a few videos in the recent weeks of altcoins that actually don't look too bad if we do see this dead cat bounce take place. Remember, it's not guaranteed, right? It doesn't have to happen. I mean, even on the 4-hourly chart on Bitcoin, we are rejecting quite prominently here, but it's very early days. We don't have to have a dead cat bounce, but if we do, I think it's a more likely scenario. If we do, some altcoins such as ICX are going to be the ones that are favorable, and I'll tell you why, okay? So for ICX, what we have here is a critical uptrending level of support that we've actually held for basically almost 2 years right now, a year and a half at the moment. We can see that's held through from October 2020, December 2020, tested here in June and July, and we're currently coming in for a test right now. So because of this line, what we can assume for Icon is that we're actually coming down for the last time here for a last lower low before some sort of dead cat bounce, and then obviously a drop down when we see that bear market region being entered, okay? So how can we capitalize on this potential bounce if it takes place? Well, I'll tell you the entry zones, I'll tell you the resistance, and I'll tell you where you should be selling, right? In terms of stop loss and also take profit. Now, I wouldn't be entering the trade right now because I'm not 100% confident that Bitcoin's going to be seeing that dead cat bounce. I am leaning towards it, right? I think it's going to happen, but I'm not 100% confident. And so we need to be seeing some confirmation from Icon first. Now, there's two ways you could trade this. If you're a risky investor, if you're an aggressive investor, you could trade right now. You could buy in right now and set your stop loss just slightly below this red line. For example, setting a stop loss at around 85 cents would put you at a loss of about, let's see, from current prices of about 16%. And if you set a gain potential at the bull market support band, right, that would put you at a potential gain of around 60%. So you have a 16% loss for a 60% gain kind of thing there. So obviously risk reward, in terms of risk reward, that's a very good risk reward ratio. However, you know, if you waited for some confirmation, and that confirmation could come from multiple things, right? One of which would be getting over the 9 EMA. So for example, the 9 EMA right now is at around $1.12. If we waited for confirmation, you'd be looking at a gain for 44%. So you're missing out on 16% gains. Of course, if you wait for confirmation, you'd have to set your stop loss at the same price and you'd be risking a lot more. So look, there's a lot of different ways to look at it. But the way I look at it, right? The way I look at it is that Icon probably has a little bit more downside to go. It probably will come down to this red line and scoop this red line for a couple daily candles, okay? And that's where you'd be entering Icon if you wanted to do it at the time. As for its actual current state right now, it doesn't look good, right? And that's why we're not expecting a full bullish reversal in which we go to new all-time highs, right? We're expecting a dead cat bounce. You know, we're below basically every single critical major support zone. The 50-day, the 200-day, below the bull market support band, below the Gaussian channel, right? We can bring up endless amounts. Ikomoku cloud, we're below that. Even the volume profile suggests that we still have some downward side to go. And so, you know, we're below quite a lot on Icon, and you know, so we're not looking for a full recovery from this bounce at all. We're looking for a quick swing trade. As for telling you where you should be selling upon entering, it's kind of hard to say because that depends on the market in that period of time, right? It's very possible we could be seeing a couple weeks of consolidation on Bitcoin and hence a couple of weeks of consolidation on Icon, right? And so there's no real tell as to where those indicators will be, as to where those take profit indicators will be at that point. But what I can say is that, you know, a stop loss at around 85 cents would be where you want to put that stop loss if you're going to enter this trade. And you want to be seeing how the dead cat bounce goes on Bitcoin and Ethereum and acting accordingly. But essentially what we're in right now is a bullish bat formation in which we're seeing a lower low here in kind of this slanted W formation. That's a bullish bat. And that's typically an upside break pattern. And if we actually, you know, took a measured move from that, we'd see that would come probably, you know, way higher than this peak here at around $1.80. But again, it would depend on where those indicators are at the time. It depends on the strength of the bounce as well. I would say what is most likely if we do see that dead cat bounce is we probably reject somewhere from that $2 region all the way down to that resistance zone we have here at around $1.70, right? So that would be my rejection zone if we weren't to enter this trade. I think that's where the most likely place in which we'd enter. However, I could see a scenario in which we don't actually reach that high, and we probably reach somewhere around $1.60 or even $1.50, which would mark where we had this kind of we had a drop down in May, and then we kind of retraced all the way back up and rejected from that zone at $1.50. So if I was personally enter this trade, I would be setting currently, and I can't speak if this happens 3 weeks in advance, I would be setting my stop loss at 85 cents, and I'd be setting my take profit at around $1.50. That's what I'd be doing for Icon. We do also have some resistance here built up from a previous drop down here in early December at around $1.43. So anywhere in that region, you'd be looking to take profits, but obviously that depends on what happens at the time. But as for right now on this trade, what I can say is that we're heading towards critical support, right? We have lost basically everything, but we do have descending volume towards the support, which is a good sign. And we also do have a bullish divergence in the RSI. We have a bullish MACD cross incoming, and we have stochastic RSI that is bottomed out as well. So we're looking pretty good coming towards support here, and you wouldn't be crazy to take a trade in the specific scenario for Icon, but it would really depend on your view on Bitcoin. Do you think Bitcoin's going to hold 40K? That's what you need to ask yourself. If yes, then I'd be taking this trade on Icon, but that's a personal decision that you guys need to make as to whether you think Bitcoin will actually hold 40K. As for the weekly chart, right? Doesn't look too bad. And one of the reasons why I said we need to have the stop losses at around 85 cents is because the 200-day SMA is at 88 cents. And so if you set that just below the 200-week SMA, you're getting the extra support from the 200-week SMA. And that's always good. You want to always gather as much extra support as you can. And the 200-week SMA is one of the strongest support zones in basically any trading of any asset. A very, very strong long-term support zone. So that's very critical here at 88 cents. Even if you want it to be a little bit more, risky with your trade, you could actually set your stop loss at around 80 cents. Obviously, you're risking a lot more in that scenario, but that's where the point of control on the volume profile is at 81 cents. So look, it depends on how much you want to risk. You could even just set your stop loss literally right below this red line here if you don't want to risk too much. But ultimately, I think that the last area in which Icon looks even slightly healthy is 80 cents due to that POC over the last year. And certainly if we close a weekly candle below that 200-week SMA that's trending downwards currently, that's putting us straight into bear market territory for ICX, of which I already think we're in, by the way. But this critical uptrending line is basically one of the last remaining support factors on ICX, as well as that POC and the 200-week SMA. Essentially, I'm speaking a lot about things that a lot of people wouldn't really take too seriously, okay? But essentially what I'm saying here for ICX, okay, is we're heading towards the critical uptrending level of support. There's multiple signs that would say we look bullish and we're going to bounce off of it. We're not really sure where we're going to bounce to. And as to whether you enter the trade, it would depend on what you think about Bitcoin, okay? I think that Bitcoin is more likely to bounce here, and hence this trade is favorable, but that's my opinion. As for ICX on the Bitcoin pair, we've entered a symmetrical triangle formation, and we're entering the bottom side of that symmetrical triangle formation, right? And what usually happens when you touch the bottom, if we hold it for support, we'll see a bounce back up, and that could coincide or be in conjunction with the bounce up on the USD pair. That could come into, say, late February, which, let's say, for example, the bounce on the Bitcoin chart goes until late February, and then we'll drop down on ICX as well and crash below this on the Bitcoin pair, and also crash below this line on the USD pair. That would be the most likely scenario for ICX, in my opinion. I think personally, we're probably going to be seeing a small bounce off of this long-term critical support line. However, I'm not going to be trading it until I see confirmation. You guys can do what you will. I'm just presenting the information. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one.